They said the Clockwork Forest only opened once every 100 years. They were wrong, because last night, it opened for me. And inside, I saw something that shouldn't exist, a girl with my face, standing in my place. The story. In the quiet kingdom of Eldravia, nestled between mountains and meadows, lived a girl named Anastasia with wild curls like a crown of night and eyes that shimmered like winter stars. She was no princess, no noble's daughter, just the granddaughter of the village clockmaker. Yet, from the moment she was born, strange things clung to her like whispers in the wind. Clocks around her never kept the right time. Her shadow sometimes moved just a second too late. And sometimes, only sometimes, people swore they saw two of her. But Anastasia paid it little mind. Life was busy, filled with winding springs, ticking gears, and helping her grandfather in his cozy shop that smelled of wood shavings and time itself. Until the night the forest moved. The Clockwork Forest, they called it, a legend older than the kingdom itself. Trees with trunks of brass and leaves like golden cogs. It was said the forest appeared every century to test the hearts of the kingdom's chosen. Those who entered never returned, and those who tried to follow found only mist and moss. But that night, as Anastasia gathered firewood beyond the hill, the ground rumbled, and the wind grew sharp and cold. She turned, and there it was. The forest. Not a tale. Not a drawing in an old book. But real. It rose from the earth in silence, trees spinning slightly at their cores, branches ticking as if in rhythm with some ancient time. And just beyond the first line of trees stood a girl. A girl with Anastasia's face. She wore a cloak the color of dusk and held a pocket watch in one hand, dangling from a chain of stars. When she spoke, her voice echoed like wind through gears. "You've finally come," the girl said. "I've waited 100 years." Anastasia blinked. "Who are you?" "I'm you," said the girl. "But I'm not supposed to be." The forest of time. Anastasia followed the girl into the forest, despite every tale warning her not to. But how could she not follow herself? The forest ticked with every step. Trees whispered in metallic voices. Foxes made of copper watched from behind gears the size of cartwheels. Time flowed differently here, sometimes rushing forward, sometimes looping back. "My name is Anya," the girl explained. "I was born when time split, when you made a choice you weren't meant to make." Anastasia narrowed her eyes. "What choice?" "In your timeline, your mother gave you away to save herself from the forest's curse. But in mine, she kept me, and doomed us both." Anastasia stopped walking. "I never knew my mother." "Because she made the right choice," Anya said, voice trembling. "But I was left behind, and I became something I wasn't supposed to be. I was trapped here, a ghost of a path never taken." Anya opened her pocket watch. Inside was a swirling storm of stars and gears. "The forest let me live, but only to keep the balance. Now that you're here, we must fix it." The test of the gears. The heart of the Clockwork Forest was a massive clock tower, taller than the mountains and older than memory. Inside, time itself was wound tight, a glowing core of all the choices ever made and never made. To reach it, Anastasia and Anya had to pass 3 tests. Each one tested more than strength, it tested truth. First test, the mirror of might-have-beens. In a clearing of mirror trees, Anastasia saw dozens of versions of herself, a royal Anastasia in a golden gown, a thief Anastasia dancing through rooftops, a lonely Anastasia crying by a frozen pond. "Choose one," said a voice. "But know this, if you take their place, they take yours." Anya shook her head. "They're illusions. The forest is trying to distract you." But Anastasia stepped forward. The royal Anastasia held out her hand. "Come," she whispered. "No more gears, no more poverty. Just power and ease." But Anastasia looked down at her calloused hands. She remembered the laughter in her grandfather's shop, the scent of old oil, the warmth of honest work. I choose me, she said, and the mirrors shattered into song. Second test, the clock of regret. A giant clock with no numbers stood before them. On its face were names, people Anastasia had hurt or left behind, her best friend Lila she hadn't visited in months, her grandfather when she snapped at him last winter, the stray dog she never fed again. You must turn back the hands, said the clock. Undo your regrets. Anya urged her forward. You can fix everything. But Anastasia hesitated. If I change those things, I won't learn from them, she said. Regret is a teacher, not a jailer. She placed her hand on the clock. I don't want to erase my mistakes. I want to grow from them. The clock melted into light. Third test, the choice of wholeness. At last, they reached the tower. The core pulsed like a heart. The forest whispered all around them. To restore the balance, said the forest, one must go. Two cannot share one soul. Anya looked at Anastasia. I've waited 100 years to be whole. But I don't belong out there anymore. Anastasia stepped forward. But you're part of me. I can't just leave you here. You must, Anya said. Or the forest will take us both. Tears welled in Anastasia's eyes. She reached for Anya's hand, and something sparked. A warmth. A connection deeper than blood. Wait, she whispered. Maybe we don't have to choose. Maybe we become something new. And in that moment, Anastasia pulled the pocket watch from Anya's hand and snapped it open. The soul clock. Inside the watch, stars and gears spun in wild, impossible patterns. Time screamed, and then stilled. The forest roared in fury. The trees turned red-hot, then silent. And slowly, Anya faded, not in pain, not in fear, but in peace. She smiled. Thank you, she whispered. Now we are one. The gears flew from the watch into Anastasia's chest, and she gasped. Her heart ticked. Her hands glowed with knowledge she didn't have before, how to fix time, how to mend fate, how to forgive. She was still Anastasia. But also, she was more. The forest began to unravel, gears falling like autumn leaves, time settling into place. And when Anastasia stepped out of the trees, the sun was rising over Eldravia, and 100 years had passed. Legacy of the forest. No one remembered the old clock shop. The village had changed, but Anastasia remained. She built a new shop, one made of both wood and brass, where the clock sang songs and whispered names. She became a legend, the clockkeeper of Eldravia, who could fix time, who knew your regrets, who had a heart that ticked with both sorrow and strength. And sometimes, in the quiet of night, she'd open her old pocket watch and whisper to the stars. Thank you, Anya.